Hi there, I'm Dr. Basha P. Jordan Jr., known as the Hope Doctor. Welcome to the Hope Doctor Speaks. We have an exciting broadcast for you today. You know that our mission is to give hope to persons who suffer from the disease of addiction, primarily drugs and alcohol. And today we're privileged to have as our guest Darryl Strawberry, who is a former Major League Baseball player. And, if you want to get in contact with me, you can call me at 443-250-9635. That's 443-250-9635. If you want to get into detox, you want to get into treatment, or if you just want some counseling, you have a loved one, a husband, a wife, a child, a neighbor, a friend who needs to get some help and some hope for addiction, whether or not it's drugs or alcohol. This is what we do. God has anointed me to do this. We've been doing it now for about 30 years. And so we just thank God for you. Also, if you have some friends that you think might be interested or need this broadcast, tell them to just tune in right now to either Facebook Live at Hope Alive Outreach or to the channel on YouTube, Hope Alive Outreach. Well, right now, I want to introduce to some and present to some others. Brother Darryl Strawberry, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Dr. Jordan. How you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. I was just mentioning to Brother Strawberry that we had met some 10 years ago back in Baltimore, and both of us have changed just a little bit since that time.
Well, everything has to change, so nothing stays the same. And I like your program, the Hope Doctor. That's incredible, because it's all about bringing hope to people anyway. At the end of the day, in all areas of our lives. So I'm really impressed with what you're doing, and thanks for having me on your show.
Thank you for accepting it. How is it that a professional baseball player gets caught up into drugs and becomes an addict? How does that happen?
Well, that's a good point. Everybody is the same. Nobody's different. We all human beings, and we all fall short, and we all have struggles, and we all have brokenness that's real. I think lawlessness brings about brokenness, and brokenness is real on the inside. And if one never gets well on the inside and continue to struggle, he's always going to turn to something, some kind of outlet to try to escape. And in my case, it was no different. I grew up with a father who was a raging alcoholic. Came home and beat the crap out of me and said I'll never amount to anything, and I believed it as a kid, and unfortunately I ended up scarred and left scarred for a very long time, and I ended up starting to mess around early in the early age with marijuana and drinking, Coke 45s at 13, 14 years old, and that was just the beginning of a downhill run for myself, and it is for anyone. You never sign up to be an alcoholic or a drug addict. It just takes place, and as you continue to go forward, and when you don't stop and you continue to be in that lifestyle, you continue to fall short. And I'm no different than anybody else. It doesn't matter how successful you are, what color you are, how much you have. Drugs and alcohol is a disease. It's an illness, and it affects the person, and you go into a place and you find yourself in places that you could never imagine you would be.
The reason why I asked you that question is because I'm a professional myself. I ended up using drugs and alcohol for 30 years of my life, but thank God now I've been in recovery. Come October it'd be 32 years, but it was so debilitating. My pride was injured, and there's so many individuals out there who probably are thinking like I was thinking, and that is that once you get a certain amount of education, once you get a certain position in society, once you get a certain amount of money, then addiction can't touch you. Could you just speak to that for a moment?
Yeah, that's a good point, because that's not the case. I think most people think that they have a great education and they've been very successful and they have everything they need, but at the end of the day, you don't have what you need on the inside. And what's missing on the inside is the freedom, the freedom to love yourself and care for yourself, not because you accumulate a bunch of success and stuff. we kind of hide behind that, and I think we don't really deal with the wounds. We don't deal with the scars that are real inside of us. And when we don't deal with them, we drown ourselves with drinking. We drown ourselves using drugs, trying to escape from the pain. Like I always told people, my pain led me to my greatness, but my greatness would eventually lead me to my destructive behavior, because if you're not well on the inside, it's going to play out in your life. And that's what happens to so many people. And you made a good point, Dr. Jordan, there. It's the pride. It's the pride of a man that kills a man or a woman, whatever it may be. It's your pride to say, well, I come from such a different background. I shouldn't have this problem. That's what keeps so many people from not going forward and not being able to get well, because their pride will not let them get well. And I'm so glad that I was able to have people like Ron Doc in my life, and people like my wife that would bring me to a place of humility and being able to understand that it can happen to anyone that never deals with himself. And I'm glad that I took the steps. It took me a while. Listen to what I'm saying. It took me a while. It took me a couple headlines in the news, because I had to go through it publicly. And it took me a lot of treatment centers. And it took me a while to be able to walk in some humility. It took me a while to get rid of my pride, get rid of my ego. You know what ego is? A 3-letter word: easy, God out. So that means we step in and we play God, and we can't get well. And I did that for a very long time.
I thank you for addressing that issue, especially the pride. The Bible teaches that the love of money is the root of all evil, and I think that we can get to a point. Those of us who have had some money, we can get to the point where our money and our ego really makes us think that we're invincible. I think that you mentioned something about feeling like we're God.
Oh yeah, I mean, you think that you think that you're God because you have, like I said, you have all the material things, but spiritually you're broken inside more than anything. I think that's what most people don't understand. One that's in the midst of addiction, the addiction has the grip. The alcohol has the grip on his life, and spiritually he has nothing. I might have a bunch of money in the bank, but spiritually I'm bankrupt. I don't have anything. I'm empty on the inside, and if I can't get to that place of dealing with the real issues, the root issue of what's really going on inside of me, not what I have, but what's really going on inside of me, then I can never get well. I think so many of us never deal with a trauma, abuse, or whatever it is that we go through. And we always want to sweep that under the rug. We're good at that, because we have this manipulating mindset, that, we can do things the way we want to do them. But I learned over the years, that it never worked. I ended up, ever since I started following the principles and started following a different way and started following God's way, I've never ended up in handcuffs again. So it's something, and I never ended up with a pipe in my mouth or having another drink, because I started following a different road. And I think once we start allowing ourselves to be healed on side, it's okay to be broken, but we have to be able to allow ourselves to be healed on the inside. And that's a process. That's not an overnight miracle. We need to work and let people work with us to help us get to that place where we can experience the healing process of God's wonderful love in our life.
Tell us, what was the straw that broke the camel's back for you, where you knew you needed some help and you got some help?
Well, I always knew that I needed some help. I just like I was saying, Dr. Jordan, I never wanted to deal with those real issues, that I was rejected and I was beaten by my father, and I was left in this place where I really felt like I wasn't important. And I think once I started doing the work, and I think most people don't understand, you got to do some serious work to get well. And when you allow yourself to go through that process of doing the work on the inside, change comes, and it's a slow process. I don't want people to sit here and think this is an overnight miracle, because we've been clean for a long time now. It was a process before I had to go through. I had to go through some fire before I can get on the other side. And I'm just glad the fire did not burn me up. And so many people don't allow themselves to go through the fire, because what happens is most people end up quitting before the miracle takes place in their life. And I'm glad I didn't quit. And so you know, with everything that I had to go through, and I'm glad that I had to go through it, because on the other side, it's made me a better person. It's made me a man. You know, playing baseball didn't make me a man. I think people think because you played baseball and you was uh, 8-time All-Star, 4-time World Series champion, did all these wonderful things, and been privileged to live behind community gates. That didn't make me a man. That made me a baseball player. What made me a man is when I changed my life and started to stand up. And what really changed was people. You know, it's the people that are in your life that really care about you, don't care about what you do, but they care about you. And I had some wonderful people in my life that cared about me and not what I was doing. And that's what you really have to have if you want to get through this process and become well and live a victorious life.
Thank you so much. Those of you all who are listening to this, the Hope Doctor Speaks, we ask that if you have comments, that you make your comments, and we'll try our best to address your comments. You can just put them right there on the screen if you're on Facebook. And we know that there are a lot of individuals who are listening, who know someone who needs this help. Let me ask you a question. Did you have to go into treatment? Did your team? Who were you playing for at the time when you got some help?
Well, I went in treatment multiple times, you know, trying to get well. You know, first when I started in LA, and I was with the Dodgers, and then I went to treatment again after I got suspended from baseball. I was suspended for 3 times because of substance abuse, and I just kept going back and forth to treatment and going, you know, putting the Band-Aid on the 28 days, because everybody thinks 28 days is going to really turn a problem around. It's not going to turn a problem around from years and years of using and abusing yourself and living away. And that's just the beginning of one walking through the doors. And where do you go from here? You know, and it was so hard, you know, to be able to just go from 28 days. I probably personally needed a place where I was in long-term treatment. I would recommend, you know, that for people more than anything is long-term treatment than short-term treatment, because short-term treatment really doesn't really do anything for someone who has been struggling with addiction or alcohol for a very long time. So you would look to six months to a year. I kind of wish I would have went through that process. It would have saved me some of the headaches, but I had to go through the headaches I had to go through. And, you know, once you go through that process, then you can have a story, you know, and hopefully you make it through. And I'm just so grateful that I'm sitting here today that I made it through all the treatment centers. I went to 5 different treatment centers, went to the best of the best treatment center. But guess what, Dr. Jordan, I just was not ready.
Yes. Okay. I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that I just was not ready. When I was in Baltimore, we had a men's recovery house next door to the church, and I came in contact with a gentleman who went into treatment 36 times. Can you believe that? 36 times before he was ready, before he finally got that niche. Now you've been in recovery now for how long?
Over 17 years now.
All right. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Seeing that we are in this pandemic, and it's more than a pandemic. We have a pandemic on top of a pandemic right now, a revolution. I'll call it a civil war on top of that, with the racism, on top of a disease that we can't see, known as coronavirus. And those of us who are addicts and alcoholics, I call it the disease of addiction. So we got 3 things facing us. What kind of hope or information could you share with individuals who are isolated now, who've gone back to drinking now, or thinking about going back to drugging now? What kind of hope could you share with them?
Well, the greatest hope I can give to them is don't look at the problems that are going on. Look at yourself and look at the circumstances that you are in. Because if we look at the problems, all we're going to do is pile them up more and more, and we're never going to get to a place of getting well. Anyone that's struggling with addiction, it's very easy for you to say, well, society is all messed up, so why shouldn't I be all messed up? You don't have to be all messed up. This is a time where you could challenge yourself with society being all screwed up, is this is the time that I want to step in and I want to enter in and I want to find some freedom. If you really want to find freedom, that means you're going to have to do something different. You're going to have to turn the other way. You can't go the way that you always been going. I tell people there's nothing at the left, there's nothing at the right, there's nothing behind me. I need to keep moving forward. So if you continue to move forward and you do the work on yourself in the middle of a pandemic, whatever it may be, in the crisis that we're in right now, with racism and everything, if you look at you, God has gifted you. God has gifted all of us. There's a gift down inside of us that he does not reverse. It's just a matter of a person stepping up and saying, yes, I want to be different. I want to do different. I want to work hard on myself to be better. Even though things are chaotic, I don't have to be chaotic anymore. I don't have to pick up. I don't have to use. I need to stop using excuses. And that's what it was for me. I needed to stop using excuses why I'm using, because we all got a bunch of excuses why we use, but we never have the excuses why we don't. Once you get to a place of getting some recovery under your belt and you stay clean through the hard times, then you'll understand that you can be well, you can be free, you can live a victorious life. I see there, I live a wonderful, victorious life. I'm not caught up into anything. I'm not lost in the pandemic. I'm not lost in the craziness that's going on. Yes, I know it's a lot of tension going on, and racism is real. We've been dealing with that forever. It doesn't faze me that, that it's here again, because it's always been here and probably never going anywhere. But I can't let anything dictate who I am today. I have to remember where I came from and how hard I worked to get to where I'm at today. And that person that's out there, you could do the same thing. All you got to do is apply yourself to it. It works. I could tell you from myself, and many others could tell you from experience, that this here works, living free in a freedom life.
All I can say is amen to that, brother. Amen to that. Amen to that. We have to, it's an inside out job. We have to, once we make up our mind, I've been blessed. I've really been blessed. I went to treatment back in 1988. I was in there for 28 days. I came out being a pastor of a church, and the church members and the whole community knew that I had. Once I came out, I shared with them my story, a little bit of that, and it became good gossip. And sometimes our testimony, like yours, openly testimony, even though I'm in 12-step program, we talk about the 12-step, about anonymity, the spiritual foundation of all of our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities. God showed me that my testimony is going to help somebody else who is where I was. And that's why I wanted to have you on, brother, because I know that you couldn't be the only baseball player who was out there using. Am I right about that?
No, it's so many of them that's been through this process, and so many of them are afraid to talk about who they are. And your test is your testimony. Your test is your testimony for somebody else. Passing the test is so critical for all of us who struggle with alcohol and drugs, to be able to carry the message to help someone else who is still sick and suffering. Remember, it's not about you. You've been delivered. You have passed the test, and you have gotten on the other side. What are you going to do to inspire somebody else? What are you going to do to encourage somebody else? You don't have to beat them over the head about things. All you have to do is show them that this life, it works. It works if you put the work in. It's just like anything else. Dr. Jordan, it's like me playing baseball. I didn't become great without putting the work in. I had to put the work in. It's the same thing in recovery. You got to put the work in to become great at who you are, not what looking at somebody else and saying what they have done. You could do the same thing, because once you get to that place for yourself and you surrender you. Now you got a chance to be what God created you to be. And that's what so many people miss out on. That's the hope for people. God created you for greatness, and he created you for a great purpose and time being here. You just don't want to be here and just be taking up space. I didn't want to be here and taking up space anymore. I wanted to carry the message of of hope to others, inspire others, and let them know that your testimony is waiting on you. All you got to do is apply yourself to it.
What are you doing now? Are you doing anything different now during the coronavirus, during this pandemic, to maintain your recovery, your sobriety than you were doing before? What are you doing to stay sharp in your recovery now?
I do what I always do. What we have to understand that, the rooms of recovery is great for people. I didn't get clean in the rooms, and it wasn't anything about them, that you can get clean there. There's no excuse for you. It just wasn't for me. I ended up getting clean when I went to church. God delivered me and set me free. I think it was more deeper stuff that I needed to deal with, and I needed to stay away from places, like that, because I didn't have a lot of discipline, and I liked a lot of women, and there's a lot of women involved in the rooms, and I just know that was just trouble for me, because I couldn't stay clean that way. So I stay to my program of who I am. I'm an evangelist, and I travel the country 250 times out of the year, preaching in large churches across America. And I also, I work with recovery. I do a lot of recovery events. I speak at a lot of recovery and bringing hope to people, to encourage people that there's many pathways to recovery. Don't look at one person and say, well, they, say this way is the right way. No, it's many ways, and whichever way comes to you and whichever way is comfortable for you, that's the way you take, and I encourage people, to stay and go, young people to go to meetings and find out who you are. That's important. Or go to church and find out who you are. We need to stop, trying to tell a person it's only one way and this is the way to do it. That's not right, because people can't get well, and that's why we're in such a epidemic now, with the younger generation. We want to hammer them over the head. They're different. They're not like us, and they're anti-social and social media driven. Help, just be a light to them in a dark place, to be able to help them whatever way we can to find out that recovery is possible.
I'm glad that you mentioned the fact that you didn't get this thing through 12-step program, through the rooms, you got it through the church. I'm in both. I got a foot in both of them.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And I think what you said, it's not one way. God will provide. I know a lot of people who got clean in the church, never been in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous or AA. They just turned their lives over to God. What was the change in your life? What happened spiritually for you? Because I hear in your testimony that it was God, and it's still God in your life that has maintained you in your recovery process.
Yeah, it always will be, because I stay connected. I stay faithful. I stay faithful in my worship to Him. When I get up in the morning, I stay faithful in reading my Bible and studying my Bible, saturating myself in the Word, the living Word that has transformed me on the inside. I'm not concerned. I think I got so far from being concerned what I look like on the outside. And I think that's what happens to so many of us. We're more concerned about what we look like on the outside and what I sound like. And that's really not important. What's important, have I really had a transformation? And that is what keeps me, because the transformation keeps me hungry. It keeps me coming back, just like anything else. Just like when I was using it, it kept me coming back to it. And I've been the same way in my recovery life and what I do. I'm very disciplined. I'm very disciplined when I travel. I don't go out of my comfort zones. I don't go around people, places, and things. I don't go into places I don't have no business going into. And I stay completely safe. I safeguard my life. I safeguard myself. And people say, well, you can do these things while you're in recovery. No, that's not for me. That's not for me to be out in a nightclub, wanting to hang out and dance, have fun. That's for other people. But, I've come to a place where I brought a lot of discipline in my life, and it changed me, and it changed me forever. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being alone. I don't have to be around a bunch of people to feel good about myself anymore. I feel good by myself when when I'm studying, when I'm growing, and when I'm delivering the message, that God has given me to deliver.
I'm Dr. Bosh B. Jordan Jr., known as the Hope Doctor. Today we're interviewing, I started to call you Doctor. we're interviewing Darryl Strawberry, who is a former Major League Baseball player. He's also an evangelist now, as he mentioned. And if you have a question or you have a comment, matter of fact, we do have someone here now, I believe. Our friend, Ron Doc is on, and I want to thank Ron for helping me to get Darryl Strawberry here. It's amazing how God works things out. Here I met you 10 years ago. I met Ron 5 years ago, and now it's the great hookup.
Well, Ron is a great hookup. Ron is an amazing person that loves people and care for people, and he cares for people right where they're at. He don't care about the status of who you are. His concern is you getting well. And that's what it's really always been about. That's why our relationship is so strong together, because it's always been about me getting well. It's always been about other people getting well. Forget the nonsense. Forget who you think you are. Do you want recovery? Do you want to be well? And that's what I love about him. You got to have those kind of people in your life. They are the greatest people the greatest friends that you will ever have in your life, because they will never leave you nor forsake you. While everybody else is gone, you got people like Ron Doc, who's been with me for years, and he has never left my side since day one, since we started. We've been on this journey together.
Yeah. Socrates said that as we go through life, if we can just gain one true friend, we're blessed. And
come on,
that's right. And I believe whether you're in a 12-step program or whether or not you're in the church or synagogue or mosque, that once you make a instead of shooting yourself with some dope, you shoot yourself with some hope which comes from on high. I believe that God will give you a high that's greater than any substance can possibly give you. I mean, I feel you, brother. I feel you being a new man, because that's what God will do to you. I don't care what your problem is. You get enough of him in you, man. You can talk about your past.
Yeah, come on.
You can talk about your past and
it.
Not worry about nothing and nobody, because you know that you full of hope today. And I see it in you, brother.
Well, that's what it is.
That's
what it is, Dr. Jordan. I mean, you've been liberated, you've been redeemed, you've been restored to wholeness and righteousness. You don't have no fear, and you don't have no doubt in you. You don't have no hatred in you. I've been delivered, because that's what he does. He delivers you, and that's what has to happen to one that's in the midst of drug addiction. You have to be delivered from that dark place, and nobody can deliver you completely from that dark place but God himself, if you allow him to do that.
That's right. And you mentioned what I think is the most important part of recovery or deliverance, and that is surrender.
Yes. Oh, come on.
Surrender. I mean, what in the church getting saved, really getting saved, you got to surrender.
Right.
I got to surrender means I'm waving the flag. In Baltimore we used to say I jacked.
I'm done. Right. I'm done. Yeah. Exactly.
And when you done, and when you come out the hole, man, when you come out the gate, and you start talking about how it was when you were in the gate or in the hole, people, I think people can get clean. People can come out of sin because of the testimony of somebody who's been there and did that.
Yes, you sure can. I mean, but you got a good point there. If they just pay attention and listen to the love that people trying to give you, because it's all about love and compassion, because we have such great compassion and love. Because what they don't understand is we already been there. We know what it's like to be broken. We're no longer broken. I'm free.
Right.
Okay, I don't straddle the fence. I don't sit on the broken fence no more. I'm not hanging on the broken fence and saying, pour me, or pour me another drink. You
Right.
know, that's not our life anymore. We conquered that. You know, we've conquered that through grace, mercy, love, you know, and all these other things, love of people, and the gathering of brothers and sisters in Christ, and now also the gathering of brothers and sisters and recovery. And we need to look at each other from a different perspective. We don't need to look at each other like you're better than me and I'm better than you because you go this way and I go that way. No, we all the same. We all been through the same struggle, and we found our way, you know. And that's the hope we're talking about, is helping people find their way. I'm tired of this nonsense that we're dealing with today, because we're losing so many young people because they can't find hope, can't find their way, and addiction is just running wild in their life. And the thing about it is, Dr. Jordan, we're sitting here because we're living testimony, and they're not sitting here, they're dying before they're 25.
Yeah. And I believe, you know, the Bible talks about how the old men need to teach the young men the way, and the older women need to teach the younger women the way. And so I'm calling on all the older people, all the OGs, right? The female OGs and the male OGs who've been there, did that. Stand up and be counted. Grab a young person who's in the pit, jump in the pit with them, help to bring them out. Don't be ashamed. You know, I mean, I got 2 children, man. Both of them are millennials. And sometimes I listen to them, but I'm not afraid to bring some of that old time stuff back to them. You see,
right?
Yeah. So as we get ready to close, I want to thank you. God bless you. Love you, man, for what you're doing.
Love you too, brother.
Yes, sir. And I'd like for you to just stay on for a couple minutes after we finish, because at 7 o'clock, I'm going into my Wednesday night Hope Bible Institute, where I'll be teaching the Word of God on the same platform, because it's all connected.
It's all connected.
It's all connected.
If we don't fight against it, it's all connected. You know, and that's the problem. You know, with us in the society, we're so disconnected. We fight against, and we don't stay together, so we can't help. You know, and this is what we have to get back to. You know, everything is connected together. At the end of the day, for all of us, everything is connected to God. If it wasn't for His grace and His mercy, none of us would be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'd love to have you come down here and speak in St. Pete.
I will sometime. When all this is over with and done, I will make sure, because my boy Ron lives there, and he knows me well, and like I said, we're connected from the hip. We always been connected from the hip. But if I can talk about a real brother, that's one I do know that will always be right by my side.
And I'm glad I know him too.
Yeah, he's the best, man.
Yeah. If there's somebody out there listening who's struggling, they want to get clean. They don't know how to get clean. They're professional, or maybe they're non-professional. They're white collar, they're blue collar. Brother Strawberry, give them some hope, please.
Well, I just want to encourage whoever's out there right now, and you're thinking, well, this life of yours is just about over. So much trouble and so much has happened to you. Well, no, there could be a new beginning for you. All you got to do is trust the process. All you got to do is let people like you see online that's trying to encourage you, help you, reach out to them. Don't be afraid. Stop being afraid. Stop being ashamed. See, this is the problem in the society. We've been afraid for too long. We've been ashamed for too long. It's time for you to rise up and get up and let hope become your life. Not dope, but you know, because we all know about the dope. The dope is going to destroy your life, but the alcohol is going to destroy your life. But the hope, if you come in and get the hope and you get the healing that you need on the inside, not somebody else needs. Stop looking at whoever else, your wife, your kids, or anybody else, your job or whatever. Stop looking at them, because when you point one finger at somebody else, three fingers are pointing back at you. So that means I have a major problem and I need to get some serious help. And I no longer have to point fingers no more because I'm well today. And you can be well too if you reach for that help.
Like when I was in Baltimore, and I still say it sometime down here, treat me like the dope man, only call me the hope man.
I love it. There you go. That's right.
Because I know where I come from, the dope man always got respect.
You're right.
I know, yes, sir.
Always.
I know that too. Thank you so much, Darryl Strawberry, for being with us today. Those of you all who are listening, don't forget about the book that I have out. It's entitled The Pipe and the Pulpit. If you have not gotten it as of yet, please get it. You can order it online, or you can order it by going to my info at hopealiveoutreach.org. That's my email address, or you can Cash App. I'm doing a special for those listeners of the Hope Doctor. $7.95. The book normally sells for $11.95, but I'm giving a special. It chronicles my life, and it also gives some spiritual principles in there, how you can help someone else. So if you'd like to order it, you can order it right now, and you can just check it out. You see it right there on the screen where you can send it. And I want to get this in your hand. Maybe you might need it, or you might know a loved one or a friend or relative who might need it. So please, you can do that now. Also, if you want my phone number, if you want to call me, if you want to get some help and some hope, you want to get into treatment, you want to get into detox, or you want just some counseling for you and your family, call me 443-250-9635. Put it back. Thank you so much again, Darryl Strawberry, for being here today. Please pray for me that I might continue to do God's work. My prayers are with you.
Yes, my prayers are with you and your family, and continue to do God's work. Don't worry about what nobody else say. God's called us to it. Let's just do it.
All right, now just stick with me. Stick with me just for one moment, please. Okay. All right, I'm Dr. Jordan. And remember, no matter what's going on with you today, there is hope for you. I'm the Hope Doctor. Have a